And last year, I promised to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world and the crypto capital of the planet. And we're taking historic action to deliver on that promise, as you know, around the table. Yesterday, I signed an executive order officially creating our strategic Bitcoin reserve. And this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing.
Joe, I am a big proponent of the U.S. taking the worldwide lead in crypto. I think
something very strange happened with a post that the president made about cryptocurrency. That's like, if this happens, what else are you going to say? This could be exponentially explosive. Because
what if I told you Trump just made a move that could completely rewrite the U.S. financial system and nobody's even talking about it? Now, for the first time in history, the U.S. government is officially endorsing digital assets and stablecoins, and they're pushing banks to play a major role. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just said, quote, "We are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that." And
President Trump has fulfilled a campaign promise when it comes to cryptocurrency. He, as well as the current Secretary of the Treasury, has came out and said that they want the United States to be the global leader in all things digital assets. Now, because of this fact, and because President Trump has created the cryptocurrency reserve, which is a big move, now I got to ask this question. Does this move revamp the entire financial system to hedge against inflation, to bring the cost down and allow for the economy to thrive? Or will this move send us back into the dark ages and cause a market crash? This is going to be one of the most informative and fun-filled and interesting presentations that I'm ever going to do. Let's get this thing. You see that thing, baby? Let's get it and let's go.
We on now. They respect us cause we on now. Money up, run a whole town, don't we? This power money can't slow down. Money won't slow down. Why they party? I'm in here grinding. Money I'm stacking. Why they rock diamonds? I can't relate to them, ain't my shit common. I set a goal for me, 2 or 3 commas. 7 figures, 8 figures to 9 figures. On a slow pace to get rich quick. Same time we just think different. Cause when you make it, it hit different.
What it do, y'all? It's your partner Dale back in the saddle again for another edition of the Counter Move podcast here on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Guys, man, thanks so much for typing in with your partner. If you could do me a favor, if you're getting some value, guys, share, like, and subscribe, guys. And there's a little bit of a bell there, depending on what platform you're on. Click on that thing so when I go live, you get to see your partner come in and get it with me. All right, guys, let's dive into this thing real quickly. Guys, man, today is a topic that I think is going to be really good. And because of my financial background and being in business, I thought it'd be wise for me to actually talk about, because it's some news that actually came out. And I kind of saw this coming really about 4 or 5 years ago. I talked about it in the past Kind of Move podcast, but I'll go into that in a second. But man, what tripped me out is President Trump actually has a crypto plan that he is rolling out, guys. He fulfilled a campaign promise that he actually has. And he has a secret crypto plan that really no one's really talking about on the legacy media stage, man. Here's my question to this. Is this crypto plan, is it the ultimate inflation hedge? Right? You're going to understand what I mean by inflation hedge in a second. But here are the topics we're going to talk about today, guys. Here we go. Boom. We're going to talk about Trump's secret crypto plan, right? Is it an inflation hedge? Number 2, why this crypto plan is happening right now, right? Number 3, the new banking era that could spark competition. Here's a question. Is free banking coming back into play? Let me say it again. Is free banking coming back into play? We're going to dive into that in a second. And number 4, what does this mean for the U.S. citizens? for our economy. What's it mean for us, guys? So let's dive into this real quickly, guys. Now, let's go to the first one back here. Back to it. Trump's secret crypto plan, right? Let's dive into this. Let's hear him talk about it. He was actually at a round table and he began talking about this plan. Let's dive into this plan and see exactly what he's talking about, guys. And then we kind of comment on this as well. Then we graduate over to the Commerce Secretary. He talked about it as well on MSNBC. Let's talk about this real quickly here. President Trump is sitting at a digital assets summit. And again, when he was campaigning for president, he actually came on and went to a summit, crypto summit somewhere in America and made this promise. And now he's kind of fulfilling it, right? So let's dive into this and let's see what he says. Here we go.
And last year, I promised to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world and the crypto capital of the planet. And we're taking historic action to deliver on that promise, as you know, around the table.
Okay.
Yesterday, I signed an executive order officially creating our strategic Bitcoin reserve.
Wow.
And this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing, Scott.
So President Trump is saying that he's creating a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency reserve that'll be housed at the Federal Reserve. I believe Fort Knox, something like that, at the reserve somewhere. He is establishing the first U.S. Bitcoin reserve. That is huge for those cryptocurrency business guys. That's huge. Let's continue what he was saying about this, and then we'll dive into a little bit more of this. Here we go.
The federal government is already among the largest holders of Bitcoin, as you know. Really one of the largest holders in the world, with as many as 200,000 Bitcoin obtained via civil law and various other forms of law, and including enforcement actions. These existing holdings will form the foundation of the new reserve. Unfortunately, in recent years, the U.S. government has foolishly sold tens of thousands of additional Bitcoin that were worth billions and billions of dollars had they not sold them, but they did sell them, mostly during the Biden administration. Not a good thing to have done. From this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little phrase that they have. I don't know if that's right or not. Who the hell knows, right?
So that's him talking at this digital assets summit about cryptocurrency and creating a reserve for crypto, Bitcoin to be accurate. Now let's go over to MSNBC. Right now, you heard the president come out and talk about how he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world, right? And I'm most likely summarizing that. But let's go over to the Secretary of Treasury, right? Because Scott Bessent, his name, was sitting at the table with President Trump. But let's hear it out of his mouth concerning cryptocurrency real quickly and dive into this because this is a big deal. This is a big deal, guys. In some form or fashion, this is a big deal. But let's dive in this. He's on MSNBC. Talk about this exact same thing that President Trump just actually made an announcement on. Here we go.
Bitcoin, the reserve. Supposedly there is disappointment that we're not going to be buying Bitcoin outright using taxpayer dollars. But if we can do it in a revenue neutral way, we would. Number one, were you a proponent for the reserve? And two, is there a way to buy Bitcoin, not just acquire it through, I don't know, however we've gotten these $17 billion worth at this point?
Yeah, so Joe, I am a big proponent of the U.S. taking the worldwide lead in crypto. I think we have to bring it onshore and use our best practices and regulation. I think that the Bitcoin reserve, before you can accumulate it, you have to stop selling it. So what we have now is from a seized asset pool, and I wasn't there when it happened, but I believe what happened was about 500 million of Bitcoin was seized. Half of it was sold. And what we have now that, say it's over 10 billion, 10, 12 billion, that's all through appreciation. So the first thing to do is to stop the selling. So we are going to, after the
when he says stop the selling, he's talking about stop the selling of the current Bitcoin assets that the U.S. actually has, the government actually has, right? Not to stop selling Bitcoin as a whole, as far as the industry. No, he's talking about the U.S. government selling their cryptocurrency that they actually have at disposal, that they've actually acquired. If that makes some sense. The seized assets. Here we go.
The victims are paid and all of that, any seized assets will go into this reserve, and then we'll see what the way forward is for more acquisitions for the reserves. And we're starting with Bitcoin, but it's an overall crypto reserve.
Right. So how do you think about
So they're starting with Bitcoin, but they're going to look at all other crypto. They're starting with Bitcoin, but they are going to look at other cryptocurrency as well. This is a strong move. Let's continue to hear what he has to say real quickly, because the question's coming by MSNBC. Here we go.
buying, though? And how should taxpayers think about that? Because effectively we'll be levering ourselves to some degree, given that we don't have a surplus of money right now to make these investments.
Yeah, so that's why the first step is to stop selling, and then we're going to put a plan in place from there. So we're having this crypto summit. I'm going back to Washington this afternoon, and then we'll talk about the way forward.
So again, Scott Bessent is now talking about the crypto summit that we just saw President Trump talk about. So that's a very interesting play there, to where, so Scott had the interview before the summit. Then we actually heard President Trump come out of his mouth about shaking hands with what Scott just actually said. Scott was sitting at the table with President Trump. And to kind of reiterate this, the U.S. government is going not all in, but damn near all in on cryptocurrency by creating a cryptocurrency reserve, which is what President Trump actually promised on the campaign trail in some form or fashion. Now, guys, why is this happening now? Because you actually heard what MSNBC said about not having cash, right? Not having cash. Why is this happening now? Why are they pushing this cryptocurrency plan now? Interesting. So let's dive into this. I have a theory of mine, and it's based on facts, right? Because I'm not a cryptocurrency expert by no means at all. I am a real estate developer, and I am a private equity investor. That's what I am. Okay. But a good friend of mine, Cliff, which you'll see tomorrow on Real Estate Friday Live, we're going to talk about this on Real Estate Friday Live concerning cryptocurrency in the form of tokenization. That's going to be another discussion we're going to talk about tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. CST for Cliff and I to do this live, talk about cryptocurrency, tokenization. But you heard the MSNBC host ask a good question concerning cash. So here's my theory, guys. I did a Canada podcast on modern monetary theory, or another term for it is MMT. All right, MMT. I want you guys to hear this real quickly. I think this looks better, maybe like this here. Nah, like this better. Why is this happening, guys? I'm going to remove the Chiron so you can see what is happening. Actually, no, we can do it this way. Why is this happening right now? Why is the U.S. government going all in specifically on cryptocurrency? Good question. And it's predicated around the theory of printing of cash. So I would explain modern monetary theory is very simple. The concept of MMT is this. The government believes that it can just print the debt away. All right. They can just turn on the printing presses or the digital presses, so to speak, and just inflate the debt away. And it believes that by doing that, it can control the inflationary pressures of excess printing. For example, let's say, for instance, the government cuts on the printing press. I'm going to use the word printing, but it's really digital. And they begin to just print this money, which they've been doing all the time, out of thin air, which is normal in today's time frame. Don't agree with it, but it's normal. And let's say, for instance, hypothetically, you or myself want to go out tonight and buy steak for the family, for you to cook, things of that nature, which is fine. And you go to the store and you go to buy the steak, but let's say there's some inflationary pressure in your city, right, in your county, and the MMT decision makers see that inflationary pressure, and they say, well, today, Liddell, you and your colleagues cannot buy steak because it's in the inflationary pressure is too high. I live in Dallas County. They believe that they can, one, print as much as they want to number two, inflate the debt away, because number three, they can control the inflationary pressures that actions 1 and 2 cause. Does that make some sense? Let's go a little deeper with this example, guys. Here we go. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go.
Tell us more about MMT, modern monetary theory. What's the premise there?
The premise is that you don't really have to worry about balancing the budget by selling bonds or raising taxes. The premise is that if you need more money, that you print money. And as long as you do it without abandon, with some kind of sense of responsibility, everything will be fine. You don't have to raise a lot of debt. You just print what you need. I mean, it's magic. Everybody that hears it now does love it. Reality will have to set in someday. At least reality always has set in the past.
So again, that is modern monetary theory in a nutshell, guys. It is basically you can print the debt away. There is no financial principles that you need to follow. You just print it away and all is well. All is well. That is modern monetary theory. Makes no fiscal sense at all, but that is how the government wants to really implement their monetary policy, no matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. Modern monetary theory. It is in effect now. Yes, that is for sure. Why do I? Here's my thought process there is I believe the reason why this is happening right now is because Trump and his squad understand that they cannot stop printing. The government can't, because if it does, the whole house of cards falls. Let me ask you a question real quickly. Why does the government tax you if they can just print the money? Let me say that again. Why does the government tax you if they can just turn on the money and just print it out of thin air? Why do they need your tax money for? Think about that real quickly. And when we come back in a second, guys, at this commercial break by the Cash Flow Club Pro Team, we're going to dive into another section. We're going to look at could this be a new banking era being sparked to spark into competition? Again, why they're bringing this up now, and it's predicated around cash and reserves and inflation. Again, here in a second, we're going to go a little deeper. We're going to bring in some business titans to unpack it for us. All right, guys, let's dive into this real fast. Well, we'll be right back. Here we go. Hi, my name is Liddell Bugg. Mastering the strategy of locating distressed properties has allowed for me to own about $35 million worth of real estate currently right now. We're talking about new construction, single-family residences, commercial properties, and apartment complex. You name it, I own it. Now, I know you're asking, what does this got to do with you? I'm glad you actually asked. One of the most common questions that I receive when it comes to real estate investing is that they say, Liddell, what is the best strategy I should use when it comes to executing a good investment strategy in real estate? Should I buy and hold? Should I buy and flip? Or should I do a rental scenario? My answer to that question is, why not do all three? But the good thing about it is the investor that masters the art of locating distressed properties will know exactly how and what strategy is the most wisest in that situation. That's the key to this whole thing. If you wanted to know how successful real estate investors make money when they acquire real estate and not when they sell it, Click on the link below or swipe up and download our free ebook, Distressed Property Investing. The blueprint is in the ebook. Stay blessed, holla at your partner, and download the ebook today. All right, guys, we're back here, guys. Now let's graduate over to the next topic here. Is there a new banking era coming into play that could spark financial competition? What you say, man? Could there be a new banking era that could spark a financial competition, new financial competition with this crypto reserve play? Is Trump trying to rewrite the entire U.S. financial system with this play? And why would he be doing that now? We introduced modern monetary theory, right? Let's bring some business titans real quickly to unpack this a little bit. Let's bring in our partner Patrick David from Valuetainment, good friend of mine, good guy, very wise. Let's dive in this real quickly. He's going to talk about Trump's tweet, so to speak, which is fine, or Truth Social, whatever it's called, like the platform as well, and how we should respond to that. Then we're going to bring in Mark Moss to go a little bit deeper into what could be most likely the potential play. Here we go. Let's dive into this real fast.
Something very strange happened with a post that the president made about cryptocurrency. That's like, if this happens, what else are you going to say? This could be exponentially explosive. Because when we go to the past and we're like, well, remember when we were skeptics about Bitcoin?
It's ridiculous.
Basically virtual currency, the same that you get for blasting aliens in a video game.
Well, you know, Hal Finney and all this stuff, cryptocurrency, and then you're like, Julian Assange in 2011, 2012 accepts donations in Bitcoin. What? Why would he accept Bitcoin? He does. Winklevoss twins, they like Bitcoin. Yeah, those are the Facebook guys, right? Yeah. Richard Branson likes Bitcoin. Richard Branson, Elon Musk in 2014, first time he tweeted about it. Then in 2020, 2021, he bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin with Tesla. Bill Gates initially said good things. Now he's critical about it. Then you think about institutions when they came in. 2020, MicroStrategy buys $250 million of Bitcoin. What? Why would he buy so much Bitcoin? Then Morgan Stanley, then others started getting involved. Then BlackRock starts a Bitcoin ETF, 150,000 Bitcoins they buy. Dude, if all of these guys are now looking at this, maybe I ought to consider a little bit of my portfolio being tied to cryptocurrency. And then the president puts this on Truth Social. You ready? President Trump on Sunday announces that he wants to establish a crypto strategic reserve for the US government, kind of like Fort Knox with gold. We're talking crypto. That will include things like Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP Ripple, Solana, and Cardano. Whoa, the government wants to have a strategic reserve of cryptocurrency? They do. What's left after that? Is this a way of saying confirmation at the highest level that you ought to maybe consider getting into it? Maybe. We're going to talk about that today.
So again, now because of this move, now the president actually has business titans talking about this. Right? Now, again, we got to answer this question, guys. Could this be a secret plan to basically rewrite the financial system that would invite in a new banking era that could spark financial competition? Man, this right here, guys, is something serious. Now, we're going to talk about this. We're going to bring in Mark Moss, and Mark is going to dive into this question, and also is going to dive into this question as well. What does this mean for U.S. citizens? All right. So let's go back here, and then I give my thoughts at the end. Here we go.
What if I told you Trump just made a move that could completely rewrite the U.S. financial system, and nobody's even talking about it? Now, for the first time in history, the U.S. government is officially endorsing digital assets and stablecoins, and they're pushing banks to play a major role. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent just said, quote, "We are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that," end quote. But here's where it gets really interesting. They have two ways to do this. One of them is a complete government-controlled system, but the other, it could take us back to a financial model from over 200 years ago, where banks competed to issue their own money. A system that some call chaotic, but others say was one of the greatest golden ages of financial innovation. So the big question is, are we about to see the return of free banking? And if so, what does that mean for you? By the end of this video, you're going to be able to understand exactly what's happening, why the government is pushing this now, and how it could create one of the biggest wealth building opportunities of the decade. Now, real quick, I'm Mark Moss. I've built and exited multiple tech companies. I've invested through several boom and bust cycles, and today I'm a partner at a leading Bitcoin venture fund. I'm an advisor.
This is the reason why, guys, I wanted to get Mark's take on this. He's a Bitcoin guru and expert. He's forgotten more Bitcoin than I know. So I lean upon him and other individuals like Patrick David as well to counsel me on Bitcoin. Real estate, I'm your guy. Private equity, I'm your guy. Bitcoin, I ain't your guy when it comes to how that whole system works. I'm looking at the principle, the financial principles that are governing Bitcoin is now lumped under the Federal Reserve type of scenario, our monetary system type of scenario. It has now been blessed by the U.S. government. Right, here we go.
To multiple public tech companies, and I also write the Quantum Wave Investment Report, where I help investors navigate the biggest shifts in tech and money.
Follow Mark.
Now, I make these videos to share the insights that worry Trump's secret plan, how his administration is fast-tracking financial changes right now, why this is happening, the real reason why the U.S. is actually trying to embrace crypto,
Here we go.
the new banking era that could spark this new age of financial competition, and, like I said, what it means for us. All right, let's go. All right, so let's break this down. Why is the US government suddenly pushing stablecoins? Why now? And more importantly, why is Trump leading the charge on all this? Well, this all became crystal clear just last week when the White House Digital Assets Summit met and Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent made this huge announcement. He said, quote, "We are going to keep the US the dominant reserve currency in the world and we'll use stablecoins to do that," end quote. Now, if I just pause right there and think about that, I mean, this is huge.
Yes.
For years, the U.S. government's been either ignoring or actively fighting against cryptocurrencies.
Correct.
But now they're embracing them.
Yes.
They're embracing stablecoins.
Yes.
So why? Well,
Good question.
partly because they have no other choice. You see,
Exactly.
the U.S. dollar is under massive threat, like never before. Inflation's been spiraling out of control. Global trade is shifting away from the dollar. China's aggressively trying to bring other people into its own currency. We have the BRICS nations trying to set up their own currencies. And China's trying to set up their own stablecoin, the ECNY. And they want to do this to bypass U.S. financial sanctions.
Yes.
But while governments might want to get away from the U.S. dollar, in favor of their own currencies, the people around the world, well, they still want dollars. As a matter of fact, they want dollars really bad.
Yes.
So Trump and Bessent, well, they want to get dollars to the people around the world, and they see stable coins as a way to do this.
Yes.
To weaponize digital dollars, to make sure the dollar remains the world's default currency in the age of crypto. And here's the crazy part. 95% of all stable coins today are already backed by the U.S. dollar. But
Stop right there. Now, let me go back to that real quick if I can go back. 95% of all stable coins today are already backed by U.S. dollars. Does that sound familiar, guys, to, let's say, the petrodollar? Does that sound familiar? When President Biden sanctioned, right, Russia, right, what actually happened? Well, number one, when he did that, that kind of divorced the dollar from being the I guess the global currency to buy oil in. Now, don't get it twisted. Countries are still buying oil in dollars, but if you looked at Russia and China, Russia began to buy. I believe it was Russia. China began to buy oil from Russia, I believe, in the Chinese currency. So they were bypassing, right, the dollar, right? So basically, countries were saying we don't want to do it with the dollar at all anymore. Let's do it with our own currencies. right? So therefore, it weakened the dollar's effect on the global stage. So now what's happening is Trump said, okay, I see that. And I see what you're trying to do as well. Also, China, when it comes to your stable coin, right, or cryptocurrency, now we're going to do is we're going to basically mimic the petrodollar, but in the digital assets section. Because we know the world wants dollars. Matter of fact, 95% of all stable coins today are already backed by the dollar. So we just reinventing the petrodollar, but from a digital standpoint. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. And for as far as strengthening the dollar on the global stage, brilliant move. Brilliant. Because the actions of Biden divorced in some countries the dollar from buying oil as the global currency of buying oil. Right? So this now he's saying, okay, that happened. Can't reverse that at all. But when it comes to cryptocurrency, 95% of dollars are backed by dollars. 95% of cryptocurrency is backed by dollars. So we're back in the game now. We're back in the game now. Here we go. Let's keep it going, guys.
Percent of all stablecoins today are already backed by the U.S. dollar.
Strong move.
But currently the problem is, at least for the U.S. banking cartel, the banksters, is that all these stablecoins, they're being issued by private companies
Correct.
like Tether and Circle.
Yep.
Not by U.S. banks.
Yep.
And that's what Trump wants to change.
Yes.
Instead of relying on random offshore companies, the U.S. government wants American banks to start issuing their own stablecoins.
How do you legitimize cryptocurrency? You bless it by creating a reserve, right? U.S. government loves it, even though in the past they used to be adversaries of it. You take it out of the private sector and put it into, as far as offshore companies, like you said, and you legitimize it by putting it where? With the major banks, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. You see what's going. Let's keep it going.
That are fully backed, regulated, and integrated into the banking system.
Yes, sir.
And here's where it gets even crazier. This isn't some far-off proposal. Like, it's already happening.
Yes.
Like, right now. Trump's already started making huge moves behind the scenes to make this a reality.
Yes.
Congress is working on new laws for this. U.S. regulators are already flipping their stance on crypto. And the big banks, they're also preparing for what's coming because this regime change is happening faster than anyone's expecting, right? Hey, I want to just take a break from this video for a second just to let you know that we've been talking.
So guys, as I fast forward this real quickly here, all right? Now, here is what I want to talk about real quickly as well also, is Trump is moving so fast. It has kind of the word kind of on good fire. Not bad fire, but good fire from a financial standpoint. This move is extremely strong because it now cements the dollar makes it more stronger because the world wants dollars, right? A good friend of mine, Deontay Blake Ford, would say, hey, people are talking about BRICS. They're creating their own currency. He brilliantly broke down, right? Deontay did, about this has been done before. These countries have no authority at all, period. This is going to die down again. And the dollar will remain the superpower of the world. He was right. I didn't see this move coming, though. This is a strong move by President Trump. And to legitimize it by creating a reserve and putting it into the banking system. But look, this, guys, I was driving earlier today, and I stopped by, got some gas, just at a random gas station. Just random, here locally in Dallas. And I walked in to go pay for the gas, and I got me some peanuts. I love peanuts. And I looked to the left, and I walked in. There was a Bitcoin ATM. Now you may say, Dale, that's not nothing new. Yes, it's not nothing new at all, but it's happening faster. This was not like a 7-Eleven or because I'm in Texas, or a Exxon Mobil. No, this was a little small gas station, kind of like a hole in the wall. It had a Bitcoin ATM there. That's the first time I saw that at that type of small business, right? I thought it'd be more at a 7-Eleven or Exxon Mobil or a Shell. I saw it at a hole in the wall. Respectfully, a small fry gas station. I said, "Whoa, this is real." But let's keep going, guys. Man, I don't want to spill the beans now, but in a second I'm gonna spill the beans. My thoughts on this, but it's good though. Here we go.
Like I said, it's already been put into motion. On March 7th, 2025, the White House held its first ever Digital Assets Summit. And this brought together the top crypto leaders, banking executives, and members of Trump's cabinet.
Look at the table.
And during the live stream portion of the meeting, Trump Secretary Scott Bessent basically dropped it in plain English. He said, quote, "As President Trump has directed, we are going to keep the U.S. the dominant reserve currency in the world, and we will use stablecoins to do that."
This is the reason why China did not want a President Trump type of figure, President Trump or a type of figure like President Trump in the Oval Office, because he understands business, finance, reserves, security, assets, liabilities, strength. He's a hell of a negotiator and a hell of a strategizer. He is. So you have Xi going against Trump. I'm going to pick Trump every single time. Here we go.
End quote. Now, that quote should tell you everything you need to know. The U.S. government is now actively embracing digital assets, U.S. dollar stablecoins, not to fight crypto, but to use as a weapon to maintain dollar dominance.
There you go.
Now, just days after the summit ended, then Trump signed an executive order launching what he calls a strategic Bitcoin reserve and a U.S. digital assets stockpile.
Now get this, guys. Watch this. There's normally the legacy media and the liberal side, Democrats, would be against this. It has been radio silence. They all for this executive order. They're loving it. They're shaking hands with it. They're shaking hands with it. Notice how there's been no one talking about this out loud. No one, because both sides of the aisle agreed to this.
Now, while that sounds flashy, the real action is actually buried in the details.
Yes.
Treasury Secretary Bessent made it clear this order directs agencies to rework banking and tax rules to favor stablecoins.
Yes.
So, one, the Treasury is going to amend and rescind all previous guidance that hinders digital asset markets.
Wow.
And two, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency shall create a framework for stablecoin integration into national banks.
Yeah.
So that means two massive things. First, it tells us Trump isn't just talking. His team is rewriting the rules like literally in real time as we speak. Second, this all but confirms that banks are about to get the green light to start issuing their own stablecoins. Meanwhile, Congress is already working on the legal framework to make this official. In early 2025, lawmakers introduced two major bills. There was one called the Stable Act and another one called the Genius Act. Now, both of these bills designed to create a federal framework for stablecoins. So the Stable Act, which was in the House, it requires stablecoin issuers to maintain a one-to-one reserves in U.S. Treasuries or cash deposits. Number two, the Genius Act, through the Senate, it grants national banks and financial institutions the authority to issue and settle stablecoins under the OCC oversight. Now, here's the kicker. Trump isn't waiting around for these things. He's pushing Congress to get a stablecoin bill on his desk by August. Trump said himself, quote, "We want digital dollars issued by American banks, not foreign companies, and not radical bureaucrats. Congress needs to get this done."
Look at that statement. We want digital dollars issued by American banks, not foreign countries, which is where it stands right now. You see why he created the reserves? The reserve for stable coins, right? Bitcoin. You see now? And then he's intertwining it into the banking system, rewriting all of the tax laws and making some amendments. And he wants it on his desk, the Genius Act Stable Act, by August. He ain't playing no games. And he doesn't want any bureaucrats at all doing it at all. He wants this done in Congress, on his desk, by August. That's crazy. Crazy good. Crazy good.
End quote. Now, to make this work, the administration needs federal agencies to stop fighting crypto and start working with it. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening. The OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, just approved national banks to start issuing their own stablecoins.
I gotta play y'all. We gotta. Hey, yeah. I had to play it, y'all, man. And this is a huge bounce back when it comes to the dollar, man. This is off the chain. He already has the agencies to not, in the executive branch, to not fight cryptocurrency, but to embrace it and rewrite the laws. My God, he said he is telling Congress, he's telling Congress as what is it, as administration to do this to the laws. Cut it, cut it, cut it. Cut it. He cut everything, y'all. That's off the chain. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
IRS, of course, the Internal Revenue Service, they ordered to start rolling back restrictive crypto tax rules to encourage adoption. Bessent even said the Treasury will resend and amend all previous guidance that hurt the digital asset markets.
Come on.
So think about that. Just a few years ago, regulators were cracking down on crypto at every single opportunity.
Sure was.
Now they're resending. Now they're rewriting the rules to make stablecoins and digital assets the foundation of the financial system.
Again. Cut it. Cut it. Cut it. Yes, sir. Cut it. That's what we doing, baby. He cutting everything. He cutting
This isn't just talk. Major banks are already preparing for what's coming. JP Morgan already launched JPM Coin. It's a tokenized dollar for institutional use. And guess what? It's backed 1-to-1 by cash reserves, just like the new stablecoin rules would require. Wells Fargo CEO just said they're exploring tokenized deposits, which, let's be honest, is just another way of saying stablecoins.
Yep.
And let's not forget Circle's USDC stablecoin, which is already being integrated into major payment networks, including Visa. So we can see it. It's happening. The banks know what's coming, and now they're all getting into position. And now this leads us to the biggest question. If banks are about to start issuing their own digital dollars, could we be witnessing the return of free banking? Because the last times banks had this much control over issuing money, it led to one of the most explosive periods of financial competition in U.S. history.
Talk that talk.
We might be about to see it happen all over again. Now, for those of you that aren't history buffs,
hey, you better get on your job. Yeah. Motivation. Hey, man, I like this motivation of going back to free banking. I'm loving this thing. Woo.
like I am, you might be asking, what am I talking about? Well, this whole idea of banks issuing their own money, their own currency, it's not new. The U.S. already tried this before during the free banking era from 1837 to 1863.
Yes, sir.
Now, back then, any bank could issue its own currency. You didn't have to have U.S. dollars. You had hundreds of different banknotes circulating, issued by different financial institutions.
Yes.
And here's the key part. Back then, banks had to compete. If a bank issued weak money, people didn't trust it.
Correct.
If they issued strong money, their currency became widely accepted.
Yes, sir.
And this forced banks to actually earn trust.
Yeah.
They had to back their money with gold, silver, strong financial reserves. Or people.
Do you see how this benefits the U.S. citizen? I got to answer. Here we go. Answer the question. Do you see how this benefits the U.S. citizen? What does this mean for the U.S. citizen? Competition. You have banks competing for your business. It puts a lot of the power back to the consumer, to where you don't walk into a bank and say, please give me a loan. No, player. You got to have the 1-to-1 ratio, right? Hey, who's going to give me the best deal? Now, in some form or fashion, that's happening now in small micro arenas. But man, this right here, whoo, this is good here, man.
People just wouldn't use it. They'd go to a competitor's bank instead. And because of this competition, banking services and financial innovation skyrocketed.
Yes.
Now, if we fast forward that to today, guess what? We might be entering free banking 2.0.
What you
Except
say?
this time, it all happens on blockchains.
Yes,
now
sir,
imagine
blockchains.
walking into a store and having the option to pay with a JPM coin or a Wells Fargo dollar or a Goldman Sachs stablecoin, just like in the 1800s. Now, back then, banks would have had to compete for your trust. The ones offering the most stable, the most secure, the most widely accepted digital money would dominate the market.
This forces banks to have to outperform one another. Because you can say, I don't want to get your coin, Wells Fargo. I want to go over to Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs, you suck. No, I want to go over to JP Morgan Chase. This forces them to compete for your business. Like literally compete for your business. Depository business. Not just loan business, depository business. Two different business models. Well, two different business practices. Deposits or loans. We talk about depository business. And also loans too. But damn, this is good.
Scott Bessent said it. He said, quote, the stablecoin framework will ensure financial institutions can offer dollar-backed digital assets in a regulated, secure manner. Now that means that banks could soon be competing to issue the best digital dollars, and this could change everything.
Wow.
So what happens if banks are allowed to compete again?
Listen.
Well, here's what it could mean for you. Better banking services.
Yes, sir.
Because banks would have to offer lower fees, higher
Yes,
interest,
sir.
faster transactions,
Yeah.
just to stay competitive. Stronger and more secure money, because stablecoins would have clear regulations, real asset backing, unlike offshore unregulated stablecoins we see today. Instant global payments. Your money could move anywhere in the world instantly without relying on antiquated SWIFT systems or outdated banking networks.
Preach.
More financial freedom. Instead of being forced into one monetary system, you'd have real choices over where to store your wealth. In short, this could be the biggest transformation in banking since the internet.
Yes.
So now that we know what's happening, where does this lead us? Like, what's the big picture here? Well, the answer is simple. Like, this could be the biggest transformation of the U.S. financial system and of the U.S. dollar in history.
Yeah.
When everybody thinks the U.S. dollar is dying, it could be cementing its position as the dominant global leader for decades.
Yes.
Now, like I said, the dollar's dominance has been under attack from inflation, from global de-dollarization,
Yes.
from countries like China and Russia
Yes.
pushing their own currencies. But now with stablecoins officially backed by U.S. banks, the dollar could actually come out stronger than ever.
So, with that being, well, hold on. Let's keep going.
Why would that even strengthen the U.S. dollar, you
Listen.
might ask? Well, more global demand for dollars.
Yes.
We have this situation where people all around the world with failing currencies, think Lebanon, Turkey, Argentina, Venezuela, Peru.
Wow.
They all want U.S. dollars, but they can't get them. And the government wants them to have U.S. dollars.
Correct.
And so U.S. stablecoins is a way to do that. Now, right now, over $200 billion in stablecoins are already circulating worldwide.
Wow.
Almost all of them are pegged to the U.S. dollar.
Wow.
And that number is expected to grow at least 10x, maybe even 100x as stablecoins go mainstream. And then banks start competing to offer the best digital dollars. Instead of a single outdated financial system, we could see banks competing for better, faster, and more services.
Stop right, y'all. Man, he said it best. He answered the question, what does this mean for U.S. citizens? Mark, man, hand clap of praise, brother. Great presentation, man. This is a boss move by President Trump. I don't care what you say. This is an amazing move by President Trump to cement the dollar as the global currency dominant powerhouse that it can be by cementing it through digital assets. Because of what happened with the Biden administration and it divorcing itself, actually, its actions led to the petrodollar weakening. The petrodollar basically kind of going away in some form of fashion, and kind of devaluating the dollar, right? But this move here should the strength of the dollar is even more for decades. I see a rebound for this, man. So what's the strategy, capital impact of this move, guys? Strategy, simple, guys. It's for the U.S. to become as President Trump said, the digital capital of the world, and it will happen. Number two, how does it create capital? It's simple. By creating a reserve for Bitcoin and other stable coins, right? A reserve for that, coupling that with allowing the banks or assisting the banks in creating their own coins themselves, right? So that money can flow through that banking system, the blockchain itself. You effectively are divorcing the cryptocurrency from offshore companies. Now is governed by the U.S. government. Jesus, that's a strong move. And now what happens is you then begin to allow for business to be conducted from on a blockchain standpoint. What's the impact? It forces the banks to offer better services and rates, right? It cements, again, the dollar has been the capital of the world when it comes to the dominance of it, the dollar itself. And also, it puts a lot of power back into the hands of the consumers, because the consumers can say, hey, I want to use the Wells Fargo coin, hypothetically, the JP Morgan coin, the Goldman Sachs coin itself. It forces the banks to have to compete for the consumer business and to perform at a high level. My God, this is phenomenal under the guise of regulation. Now, I'll say this here. Was also strategy as well. I believe also there's some modern monetary theory going on here because of the fact that the U.S. government cannot stop printing any money. They can't. Again, I asked the question at the beginning of the show when I said, if the U.S. government can print at will, why do they tax you for? Why? I'll answer that question on another show. But the firm foundation question is because it continues the facade of a business model when it's really not. It's not. Right? So I like this move, but is it an inflation hedge? Yes, it is in some form of fashion for temporarily. But it will. It's been a long dream for the government to digitize the dollar, right? Now, Dale, we already have digits. The money in your account are digits. Yes, they are. But if you can eliminate dollar bills or cash, you can control a lot. And so, yes, it's exciting, but a system is only good as those that actually run it. It can be taken advantage of, right? So, I like the move by President Trump from a global standpoint. I like this move. It strengthens the dollar. It positions the banks to have to perform at a higher level, which makes it better to actually offer better services and products and lower the fees. And it strengthens the consumer because the consumer can pick and choose who they want to put their money with, dollars with, right? And it forces the bank to have to say, okay, I want to compete for your business, Mr. Consumer. I love that effect. Now, here's the leadership with leading with purpose portion. Now, remember, a system is as good as those that actually run it. A system itself can be structured the right way, but it takes a morally based person to run it, right? In other words, it can be taken advantage of in a evil way. So I would say to those that are listening to me, consumers and those that actually may work in the government that's going to be on this project, to whom much is given, much is required. From a government standpoint, if you are positioning this type of system to cement the dollar as the global power, intertwine it with our financial banking system, bring the blockchain from across the seas over here, offshore to over here, to basically rewrite the financial system itself, you better have the right people actually running this thing. Because I can see how it can fit within that modern monetary theory type of scenario. To someone that is only living for themselves can wound a lot of people. It really can. Now, I'll say this here, guys. For the consumers, to whom much given, much is required. This system is going to position a lot of consumers to be able to exponentially increase their wealth like this, if you do it the wise way. What I tell you is, make sure you have some wise counsel around you, so you understand how to layer your wealth. Properly layer your wealth, right? There's layers to building wealth, and I'm going to do a probably kind of a podcast on how the wealthy layer their wealth up to where they're insulated from loss. I'm gonna do something on that as well also. But I'm a big proponent of actually having a lot of my money behind something tangible, a business, real estate, land. Because if all else fails from a digital standpoint, I still have my digital, my real estate, my silver, gold. Still have that business. I have that, something tangible, a commodity. Because again, this type of system although it is sexy, it can be used in a very evil way that can ruin a lot of people. So make sure you plan well. All right, guys. So, guys, thank you so much for your time. Real quick, this is the reason why, guys, when it comes to real estate, for me, guys, I believe that real estate is the most powerful tool in the world to use. This is the reason why, guys, I always say this here is wealth is created and maintained with the right strategy, right? With the right wisdom, wise counsel around you, and in a community. Business is a team sport. And if you are not getting it in with the right team, guys, you will be taken advantage of. This is the reason why I give away this book called Distressed Property Investing, guys. I'm gonna bring up the Chiron real fast, guys. This right here is a free ebook that I'm giving away called Distressed Property Investing, right? My philosophy is this here. If I can teach you how to find a distressed property, structure the right deal, run the numbers the correct way, if the deal makes some sense, I'll partner with you with funding the deal, and we can profit share. I'm not a big believer in today's climate on courses. I'm not saying courses are bad. I'm not a big believer in it in today's information age. I believe that going in the trenches and doing the work is the best way to learn. Now again, you may need a course in some form of fashion, and we have something called the Cash Flow Club Pro, which we're rolling out, which are online modules. But we're getting away this free ebook, guys. It's free, right? It's how to find, locate a distressed property in your city, county, or state. You make money in real estate when you acquire, not when you sell. Selling is just icing on the cake. Now, if you're wanting to get this free ebook, it's free. Don't want nothing from me at all, guys. It's real simple. Click on this QR code here, right here, scan it, or you can go into the show notes below and click on the link below and go download the free ebook. It's free, guys. One of the strategies we talk about in this ebook, we talk about how you can call down to your city and get a list of distressed properties in your city today. Now, for free. Okay, it's in this free ebook. So again, click on it, download it. It's right there. And also, we are allowing for you guys also to walk through the ebook in the masterclass that we actually taught this in for free. It's all included in this book. So it's right there. Real simple to get, guys. All right, guys. Also, guys, I'm always asking Liddell, I don't like real estate right now, but I do need to begin another side hustle. Hey, I'm rocking with you. Hey, a friend of mine, Matt Cipallo, which I'm going to go see Matt here in a second at an event. He created a video. It's free called The Passive Income Blueprint. The top 3 ways for you to generate a nice amount of retirement cash flow income passively. Mailbox money, guys. All right. It's free. It's free video. It's a very short video, but he walks you through this whole process. It's free. All you gotta do, guys, is scan on the QR code below here, right? DM me the word passive income, and my team will get you out that same link as well. Or you can click on the link below in the show notes and go right to the video. It is free. My whole thing about it is you're one decision away, guys, from changing your life. You just may get it by watching this video. But guys, thank you so much for your time. God bless you guys. Oh, lastly, guys, we do have our own merch, guys. It's called I Got the Bag University merch, man. Go and get you a hat, hoodie, things of that nature. You can easily click on the link below in the show notes, or you can scan this QR code. And if you tag your partner Liddell Bugs in it, that's my name. You see it, baby, because I look better than you, and take the damn picture. Hey, we'll put you in, guys, into a gift card drawing to where we will actually draw out the gift card. We draw out the name live on the podcast itself. And if your name gets picked out, if you tag us in it, we'll put you into that drawing, and we'll send you out a free $100 gift card if you can buy anything you want. Not this merch. You can go out to eat. You want to, it'll be on us. Just for saying thank you for rocking with us, guys. But guys, thank you so much for your time. God bless you. You know I end it every single time. every Thursday before you leave, and while you can, baby, you see that thing, baby. Take that damn picture and give it to your mom and holler at your partner. God bless you guys. See you next time. All right, guys. Holler at your partner. Peace.
Walk me through everything, but let's start from the beginning. How'd you get into this space?
Well, when I was 17 years old, my Uncle Gary, who still lives to this day, introduced me to a concept called passive income.
Okay.
And I said, "Oh, Uncle, what's that?"
Yeah.
He said, "Something that you do one time, but you get paid over and over again." I'm like, "Why am I trying to go to college? I want to know how to do that." Gotcha. And so while I was in college, I began to look at business models that generated passive or residual income. One of them was real estate, because everybody and their mama actually had it, from Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, all the billionaires actually had real estate in their portfolio. So I began buying real estate while I was in college. The first deal that I did, I made $3,500. And in college, that's big time. In college, you broke.
For sure.
College.
For sure.
So then I went from $3,500 to $10,000 to $26,000, and now $35 million worth of real estate. For me, business is always about solving someone's problem. Whenever you're buying a real estate transaction, the one thing I look at is, what's the pain point? Why you want to sell for? And typically, I like buying properties below wholesale. I never buy properties at retail. That didn't make sense to me at all, because I'm planning for the worst case scenario. Each and every deal that I actually acquire, I actually take home cash when I actually acquire it. Wow. Every single time.
If you wanted to know how successful real estate investors make money with their acquired real estate and not when they sell it, click on the link below or swipe up and download our free ebook, Distressed Property Investing. The blueprint is in the ebook. Stay blessed, holler at your partner, and download the ebook today.